Did you know that if you're buying a home in California, your property tax bill is largely locked in at the price you pay? Thanks to a 1978 law called Proposition 13, it can only creep up by a small amount each year after that. I'm Glen Nadeau, and here's the part that is often misunderstood. That number can still move due to special local assessments, supplemental bills, and a few other quirks that catch new buyers off guard. Here's exactly how it works and what it means if you're eyeing a home in Palm Springs. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below. Let's dive in. Here's the short version. In California, your property is taxed based on what you paid for it, not on some countrywide guess at what it's worth today. That value gets locked in the moment you close, and from there, it can only rise by a maximum of 2% a year or the rate of inflation, whichever is lower. On top of that base value, you're generally looking at an effective tax rate of somewhere around 1.1 to 1.3% here in Riverside County, once local voter-approved bonds are factored in. So if you're buying an $800,000 home in Palm Springs, you can expect a starting property tax bill somewhere in the range of $9,000 to $10,000 a year. And from there, it grows slowly and predictably. That predictability is the entire point of Proposition 13, and it's one of the more buyer-friendly tax structures in the country. But there's more nuance underneath that, so let's get into it. The reason Prop 13 exists at all goes back to the late 1970s when home values in California were rising so fast that long-term homeowners were getting taxed out of houses they'd owned for decades. Voters stepped in and said enough, and Prop 13 capped both the tax rate and how quickly assessed values could climb. What that means for you as a buyer is this. The seller's current tax bill tells you almost nothing about what you'll actually pay. If they bought their home in 2004, their assessed value has been capped this entire time, and it has nothing to do with what the home is worth today. The moment you close escrow, the county resets the clock. Your new assessed value becomes your purchase price. Here in Riverside County, the base 1% rate gets pushed up a bit further by local voter-approved bonds, school measures, and infrastructure funding, which is how you land closer to that 1.1 to 1.3% range depending on the zip code. And within Palm Springs itself, this isn't uniform. Some neighborhoods carry slightly different effective rates once you factor in local assessment districts, so the number on one street can look a little different than a number 2 blocks away. It's a detail worth reviewing property by property, not neighborhood by neighborhood. Then there's the supplemental tax bill, which shows up separately from your regular property tax bill, usually a few months after you close. California's regular tax roll is set on January 1st, but let's say you close in November. The county sends you a one-time bill covering the gap between the old assessed value and your new one for the remaining months of that fiscal year. It is not paid through your mortgage escrow account. It comes straight to you in the mail, and if you don't know it's coming, it can feel like an unwelcomed plot twist. Now you know. Here's where this actually matters for a lot of people I talk to. If retiring in Palm Springs has ever crossed your mind, even as a someday idea, Prop 13 is one of the strongest arguments for buying sooner rather than later. Your assessed value locks in at today's purchase price, not tomorrow's, which means the earlier you buy, the more room you leave between your tax basis and the home's future value. Buy now, rent it out for as long as you need, and let someone else help carry the mortgage while equity builds in the background. Then move in whenever life works and the timing finally lines up. The house will be there waiting for you, and your tax basis will already be locked in at the number that only gets more favorable with time. Now, doing this right means understanding Palm Springs' short-term rental rules before you buy, not after. The city requires a vacation rental registration certificate for any home rented under 29 days. And there's a density cap in place, 20% of homes in a given neighborhood. So certain areas are already at capacity and not accepting new permits. This is exactly why we walk through the specific neighborhoods and rental status together during our first conversation, before you ever fall in love with the house. The goal is choosing the right home in the right location, so the rental income, the equity growth, and the eventual lifestyle payoff all actually line up instead of it working against each other. Two other pieces round this out. First, if the market ever dips and your home's value falls below what you're assessed for, there's a provision called Prop 8 that lets you apply for temporary relief. So your tax bill can actually go down for a while until value recovers. Second, if you're over 55, disabled, or a beneficiary of certain family transfers, Prop 19 allows you to carry your existing tax basis to a new primary residence, even a more expensive one, up to 3 times in your lifetime. It also changed the rules significantly around passing property to children. So if inheritance planning is part of your bigger picture, that is a conversation worth having early. And Mello-Roos is worth a quick mention too. It's a special tax district used in some newer developments to fund things like roads, schools, and fire services layered on top of your regular tax bill, sometimes for 20 to 40 years. Not every home has it, but when one does, I make sure you see it clearly before you're comparing offers. For a lot of people making this move, especially those coming from more expensive or more closed-off markets, Palm Springs offers something beyond the tax map. It's one of the most established LGBTQ+ communities in the country, with close to half the population identifying as LGBTQ+, alongside a deeply social, walkable, welcoming everyday culture that a lot of buyers say they didn't fully appreciate until they experienced it firsthand. This has been a game changer for many clients I've worked with, and our inclusive, vibrant community is one of my favorite things about living here. If you're weighing a move to Palm Springs, whether that's next year or 5 years from now, understanding your tax basis before you buy changes the entire financial picture. If you want to know what this actually looks like for your budget, your timeline, or a specific neighborhood you've had your eye on, reach out. You can call or text me directly or use the contact links in the description. No pressure, just perspective. If you haven't yet already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more exciting changes, developments, and opportunities taking place here in Palm Springs and the Coachella Valley. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.